chat. What I'm going to do today is a book review. Real quick, it's a quick book review because honestly, I don't have a lot of, there's not a lot of negatives for me on this because, and I might be a little bit of a biased opinion because it is something that I've worked with before. But at the same time, it's not that it's not just that part of it. It's the fact that I really enjoy where it comes from on a practical level. So I got a book review, and so it's a bit about, and that book is on knife, is on a knife system. So it's going to be about knife defense today. So now the book is called The Way of the Raven. This is written by Fernan Vargas. He wrote this book. It's a material of because what it is the reasons why it's called Way of the Raven is that's his name that he uses. I mean, he uses it in Guardian Angels and stuff like that, and he calls it the Way of the Raven because it's the way he has composed all of the arts that he has done, which is Filipino martial arts as well as. So it's like it's Kung Tao. I think it's Kung Tao Silat. Different forms of Kali, different forms of Filipino martial arts. And then of course Native American martial arts as well. So there's a lot of stuff, but there's a lot. He has a big background. So the fact that he adds all this stuff in, plus the Native American and I think even South Americans, he said he worked with some South American stuff. So it's like there's a lot of stuff in this system, and I think to me, there are things that you're going to say that looks a lot like my system, or that looks a lot like this. The one thing about the way the way it's all comprised into the system is it really, in my opinion, is very effective and very intelligent from a practical point of view, from a tactical point of view, from if there's nothing fancy about it. I mean, it's not like it's all simple, but it's not all complicated either. The better you get, the more you're going to be able to accomplish and the better you're going to be. But at the same time, that this book, The Way of the Raven, just kind of goes down. It shows you footwork, shows you different ways to grip the knife, shows you deployment, shows you basically different ways to drill it, different ways. And this is just part one of his material. And it is such it's a book that I was sitting there when I was reading it, I was thinking, man, this needs to hit shelves. This needs to be out there for anyone in the martial arts community, anybody that's just maybe interested in knife, and just proper ways of using a knife, proper ways of utilizing a knife tactically. This is just it's a good, solid book of some really solid stuff. Basically, to me, it's the knife book that I would have wanted to have to complement some of the other books that I had. Because, the Krav Maga book by David Kahn, Krav Maga for Self-Defense and Fitness by David Kahn, that to me is probably one of the best Krav Maga books out there. Both the first one and the second one, they're by far some of the best stuff that I've seen, and what I have seen as from what I've researched on Krav Maga, some of the sticking to the original paradigm of that. And I think this would be good for your for weapons handling class. This would be your weapons handling. I mean, there's just a whole vast array. I wanted to cover everything, but I think that would just make this video would just go way too long. but I'm going to give it. I'm honestly saying it is a. To me, it's a super buy. You should if you've done Filipino martial arts, if you've never done a knife type system or anything, get the book. Okay. Even if, like I said, even if if you're not familiar with his stuff, and and you say you're a Filipino martial artist, or you do knife stuff, get it anyway, because it's not like that stuff. It is not like it at all. From switching hands, from the footwork and stuff like that, it's very natural. It's very fluid, and it's the way you do things. It's not meant to be hard on you to go overly complicated. But at the same time, if you're more advanced, if you have more, you can turn these things into something others won't. But if they're not, but this is a great way to start out, in my opinion, and have a good understanding of where to go. Okay. I think some of the things that they do, as far as like they show you, different hand motions, and honestly, I won't get into all that stuff, because honestly, I want you to buy the book. But there's different ways of doing it, because he's putting in, not only is he putting in the footwork and stuff like that. Some of this stuff, remember this stuff, some of this stuff is coming from Native American. So this is coming from Native American stuff. This is coming from, all this experience that he has with different bladed systems. And that's what I think what makes this unique. It's not just one type of, area. This is composed of a few different areas, and it has a lot of different things. And this is how it would work intelligently in a field. And what's funny is what he does. I've seen some of the guys that are out there that are really like some of the smartest tactical, like some of the guys that I consider some of the most intelligent tactical guys when it comes to knives. They're doing the same. They're doing something very, very similar. They're not doing the exact same thing, but they're doing things that are similar as far as mindsets goes, and that means that's because they understand knives. They understand what it takes. Knife attacks. They understand what it takes to be offensive with a knife. They understand what it means to, a lot of guys that are in this field, a lot of them, they have handwork, and they just don't prefer to use just handwork. And that's the idea behind some of this stuff, is that it's combative. I mean, it's important to understand that this is the way that I think martial arts is. Martial being military or warlike, you need to understand that if that's how it is, Rangers don't go hand-to-hand combat with everybody that's in their way. Their hand-to-hand simply is simple, basic, and throw the guy down and get back to your weapon as soon as possible. I'm not going to fist fight this guy. You get back to your weapon. You get back to your M4. You get back to your M16. You get back to your AR. You get back to your whatever you're carrying, or you get to your handgun. Because if you can't get to your main weapon, you get to your handgun. You get to or you get to your knife, or you get to, you make sure that you're getting to a weapon, because in war, it is do or die. You survive or you don't. That's the logistics in that. And the fact is when law enforcement, when they have to get to a baton, because that's another thing he does, and he didn't cover it in this because it's. I just want to cover the fact that does what the knife stuff does, but even his baton stuff is completely practical, in my opinion. It's very practical. It's very the way you get to it, the way you deploy it, the way you work the baton, the way you get things basically out deployed and all that stuff. You should be already hitting, and you should already be striking. You should already be getting into some sort of control situation. Yes, there's ways to use it to strike, but a lot of times I'm striking with the butt end of the baton and deploying it so I can have a control mechanism, a control lever, basically. And that's intelligent for any law enforcement. Why? Because that way I can get control over a bigger, stronger, maybe messed up individual with an impact device without deploying my baton and having everyone on YouTube film it and say, yeah, they're police brutality, because they don't understand. They weren't there for the whole thing. They just decided to turn on their phone at the worst possible moment and start saying things about the police. And that's just become a huge thing lately. Everyone's having the Ice-T moment of, F the police, the body count thing. I am not in law enforcement. I just look at law enforcement and say, yes, I understand that there's good cops out there that that people just need to leave alone because they're just doing their jobs and you don't understand the circumstances. It looks really bad. I've been in the security field, I've been in the corrections field, and I know that I've had to deal with therapists, because I worked in a field that was basically, how am I going to say, I don't want to say mental, but basically it was an emotional, basically we took on a lot of the angry people there that got court ordered to be in this facility, but they're there to manage their problems and to get help with their anger issues, with their whatever issues they have. They're there for that. They're there for therapy, but at the same time, the security staff has to be able to still handle the fact that these guys are court ordered there, and some of them have massively violent tendencies. And I can understand where some of the cops are coming from, because when you have a combative individual and they get into your face or they start acting up, sometimes the therapist comes in and what's happened is you already have the person subdued, and it looks really bad when you're wrestling them to the ground, especially when there's four of you or something like that, 3 or 4 of you wrestling one person to the ground. It looks horrible, but in reality, guys, I hate to say it, when you are trying to not hurt a person, the more bodies the better. The reason why is because everyone can have at least one limb and you guys can get him to the ground without just dropping them to the floor as hard as possible. I'm going to address that actually in another video, but the fact is this book, Way of the Raven, by Fernan Vargas, is tremendous. I think people should check it out. I think people should look at it, because the fact of the matter is you need this kind of training, in my opinion, when it comes to knife defense. Everybody talks about, and even knife offense, because everyone talks about certain ways of disarming knives or getting in with a knife or this, that, the other. They do things that I don't see a lot of people doing. And when you apply this stuff to people, they go, what? It just weirds them out. It weirds them out that you come in, they come in with a 1. You step and you're hitting with the knife into the arm right away. You're not blocking with the hand or slapping it away with the hand. You're blocking with a knife, trapping with the hand, and then attacking. So there's some things that when you do this, some of these guys are going, what is he doing? Oh, and I'm like, oh yeah, he comes with a thrust, I step, and I hit with the knife, and I trap his arm, and then I'm in. And it's really that quick, boom, and you're just there. The motion, the simplicity of getting from this point to this point is what's really good, as well as, how are you defending yourself? You're defending yourself with a blade. So what are you doing? You're keeping the blade in front of you, like, anybody with a weapon does. A gun guy doesn't keep it all the way back here at all times. He doesn't keep it by his eye. He puts his eyesight out here, you know what I mean? It's down range. It's not here, it's here, you know what I mean? If I'm going to shoot you, I'm going to be right here, you know what I mean? If I'm holding a sword, do I hold my sword? Some people try to hold it way back here. But in reality, a lot of people will not hold their sword way back here. You know why? Because that takes away from the fact that unless you are getting ready to step so far away from this guy, and that's what normally that swing is. It's a transition. Normally it's you're stepping here and you're moving this back because you're moving away from something and you're coming down. You holding it this way, all that does is expose everything that this guy wants to do. If he just wants to thrust in, your blocking is not going to do very well. You moving aside, though, will do well. But that's sword play, and even then, a lot of people will keep the sword in front of them. You know what I mean? They just not many people keep their fleshy part or the non-weapon part in front of a weapon, and if they have a weapon. The ones who do are people who are normally they're novices. They don't really know what they're doing, and that's why they keep their hand, because they're trying to grab that weapon so they can use their weapon. In reality, they're going to lose a limb. They're going to get an arm broke because the bat's going to hit it. They're going to lose their hand because someone's just going to cut it. They're going to deal with that. But that's the whole, you know. Instead, someone with a weapon that's intelligent about a weapon is going to keep it in front of them, and they're going to, you know, that guy moves with that weapon. He's going to be hitting it with the weapon and then trapping the hand. And then why? Because I'd rather have metal on metal, or wood on metal, or whatever it is, wood on, you know, whatever the situation might call for. I would rather have that than flesh, bone, muscle, tendons, nerve. I'd rather have that not hit first against metal, sharpened metal, broken glass, aluminum bat, a wooden stick, an iron rod. I don't care what it is. I don't want this going first. Okay, that's my thought pattern, and that's what this book shows. It shows an intelligent way of doing things. Not only does it show an intelligent way of doing things, it shows how you can maintain your hand grip without doing these fancy movie things a lot of people think is cool. Like I just watched Winter Soldier, you know, and they're sitting there doing that fight, you know, and Winter Soldier, he's sitting there with a knife, he's cutting away, and then all of a sudden, you know, Captain America's doing stuff, and he pops it up, catches it in the air, and you know, throws it to this hand. That looks fantastic in choreography. It looks really great. And maybe somebody can actually do this in a real fight. I'm not saying that they can't. I'm just saying, why risk it? Because there's too many variables in a fight that if I throw this in the air, that my hand will not be there. Because if I say I just go like this and the guy pushes me back just that inch out of the way, that my hand won't reach it. It's like, whoa, and then I have no weapon now. So, you know, in a life or death situation, that's that crucial moment that ends your life, and you don't want those crucial moments. You don't want that moment to arrive. So the way they transition hands, the way they grip the knife is a little different. Some people go, well, that doesn't feel right to me. I don't think they say that this is absolute. You absolutely have to hold it that way. But what they're saying is this is the way they hold it, and the reason why they hold it that way is they have good reason behind it. It's because they don't want their thumb broken. They want to make sure that everything's nice, tucked into the weapon, and you know that blade is going before you. Even your hand is behind it because that's how it's curved. If you put your thumb there, your thumb is possibly still now exposed. Things like that. And it's their way of doing it, and it's intelligent the way they're doing it. Do you have to do it that way? No, you don't have to do that way. Some people like to put their thumb there because it pushes in. You can push in to cut. But in reality, it's like, yeah, well, then why am I not just using my other hand, you know, for a power cut? At the same time, it's just more of a way of being more, like I said, intelligently tactical with their stuff. And you can pick this up pretty easily. It's pretty easy to train and drill, and now there's a lot of stuff that they'll get into, I'm pretty sure, advanced-wise, that there's no way that you can just pick it, like, you're going to just go, oh, yeah, I got this. No, they do go from very simple to there's things that are seemingly complex, but if you're drilling it in the stages that they show you, you should be able to reach that point where you're good. And we're talking about the fact that they're also utilizing, he uses a lot, I mean, Ferdinand is so, in my opinion, is a humble guy. He does not go around, well, this is the way this is the only way, and this is this. I'm better than everyone around me. I'm more intelligent. He doesn't do that, and I think that's great. He's an intelligent guy. He's a smart. He does a lot of stuff. He's got a lot of training. He is in the tactical community. They ask him to do stuff. He does seminars for them. So it's like, he's being trusted in a community that needs this type of training. Do you really think he doesn't know what he's talking about? Maybe you just don't like the competition. In my opinion, though, The Way of the Raven is probably... I can't wait for the second part. I got to read this, I got to go over this material, and now I have it, so I'm like, yes, I get to have this structure. I got other material from him, but this is by far, I think this is, as far as a book, it's really great. I love the fact that he's utilizing different communities, different types of martial arts that are blended into this whole thing, and he's really made it a cohesive, working system. And I really believe that I think he should be recognized for the work that he's done, and the fact that it's just really that good, in my opinion. So, hey guys, that's my review on Way of the Raven by Fernan Vargas. A great book. Look for it soon. Whenever it actually comes out, I pray that it comes out to publication soon, or how big it does. But I'll keep people here informed, and I will be definitely plugging, and I will definitely be putting this out there. Watch my Facebook, watch my, I'll be putting it on my Twitter, I'll be putting it on Facebook, I'll be putting it out on here. I'll be making sure people know when that book is available and to go buy the junk out of that book, okay? So I want people to understand that you should be looking for it at any time, and if you can't find it and I know it's come and I know it's already been out, I'm going to make sure you know. So you guys keep talking about martial arts, and remember that the best thing to do about training in your martial arts and talking about martial arts, just keep it honest. Alright guys, later.